Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you straight into a truth we often overlook. Liars thrive in silence, in confusion and hesitation. They depend on us being unsure, second guessing ourselves, and doubting what we already know deep down. But here's the reality. There is one simple, powerful trick that instantly strips away their power. One strategy that exposes dishonesty without aggression, without conflict, and without needing to match their game. Liars hate it because it works every single time. And when you understand how to use it, you'll no longer feel trapped in someone else's manipulation. You'll feel confident, in control, and unshakable. The fastest way to disarm a liar is to stay calm and let silence work for you. When someone is dishonest, they expect tension, they expect defense, they expect you to react in a way that feeds their control. That's why calmness is so powerful. It is the one thing they cannot manipulate. Liars thrive on your emotions because your emotions distract you from the truth. The moment you get angry, defensive, or anxious, they know they have you where they want you. But calmness is different. Calmness signals strength. It signals certainty. It tells the other person that you are not buying into their story. Even if you have not said a single word, it makes them uncomfortable because silence and composure force them to keep talking, to keep digging, and eventually to reveal the cracks in their dishonesty. Think about it. When you are calm, you slow down the entire situation. A liar wants momentum. They want to keep throwing words at you so you don't have time to think, to analyze, or to question. But your calm presence disrupts that pattern. It creates a pause. And in that pause, they become exposed. Silence is not weakness. It is a mirror that forces them to face their own lies. The more they speak into that silence, the more tangled their words become. Their story starts to lose consistency, their confidence begins to slip, and the truth starts to reveal itself without you even lifting a finger. It's almost like watching someone run in circles. They think they are getting away with it, but the longer they run, the more exhausted they become. And the more exhausted they become, the more obvious it is that they are going nowhere. Your calmness is the track they are running on. Your silence is the boundary that keeps them locked inside their own dishonesty. While they are busy spinning their words, you are conserving your energy, holding your ground, and waiting for the moment where everything falls apart on its own. There is also a psychological effect that cannot be ignored. When you remain calm, you shift the pressure back onto the liar. People lie because they are trying to control your perception. They want you to see something other than reality. But when you do not react the way they expect, when you stay still, steady, and unmoved, you deny them that control. They are left with only their own words, and their words begin to suffocate them. They start second-guessing themselves. They start wondering if you know something more, and that doubt begins to eat at them from the inside out. Calmness is not about ignoring the lie or pretending it doesn't exist. It is about refusing to play the liar's game. If you argue, they will argue back. If you defend, they will attack harder. If you show anger, they will use it against you. But if you stay calm, you create a space they cannot step into. You create an atmosphere where truth has room to breathe and dishonesty struggles to survive. Silence and calmness force liars to work harder than they want to. And the harder they work, the more mistakes they make. This is why the trick works so well. When someone lies, the natural instinct is to confront immediately, to demand answers to prove them wrong. But confrontation often escalates the situation and gives them the chance to twist the narrative. Calmness, however, removes that opportunity. It is a non-verbal message that says, I see you, I hear you, and I'm not moved. That unsettles them far more than any heated confrontation ever could. We've all seen it happen in conversations. A person lies, and instead of reacting, the other person just sits there quietly, observing. The liar keeps talking, adding unnecessary details, circling back to the same points, contradicting themselves without realizing it. The silence works like a spotlight, highlighting every inconsistency in their words. It is not the loud voice that catches them. It is the quiet presence. That's the part they hate. They can handle arguments. They can handle shouting. But they cannot handle the power of someone who refuses to be shaken. And here's the beauty of calmness. It is not just about disarming the liar. It is also about protecting yourself. When you stay calm, you think clearer. Your emotions do not cloud your judgment. You can see the situation for what it really is. You can notice the small details, the slips in tone, the hesitation in their voice, the inconsistency in their story. Calmness sharpens your awareness, while chaos blinds it. By holding your composure, you keep your power, and that power is something no liar wants you to have. Calmness also builds respect in the eyes of others. If people are watching how you handle a liar, they will see that you are not easily swayed, not easily provoked, and not easily fooled. That makes you a stronger leader, a stronger communicator, and a stronger individual overall, because it shows that you are not controlled by what someone else says. You are controlled by your own discipline. And discipline is something liars cannot penetrate. Every time you respond with silence instead of anger, you are building strength. Every time you choose composure over chaos, you are taking control of the situation. Liars hate that because their power depends on your reaction. They need you to be reactive so they can redirect the narrative. They need you to be emotional so they can manipulate your feelings. But calmness denies them that access. It is like closing the door on their tricks. No matter how loud they knock, the door does not move. The fastest way to disarm a liar is not with force, not with accusations, not with shouting, but with calmness. Calmness is a weapon they cannot fight. Silence is a trap they set for themselves without even realizing it. And composure is the shield that keeps you safe while their dishonesty crumbles under its own weight. You don't have to outtalk a liar, you just have to outlast them. And the way you outlast them is by mastering the art of calm. Asking clear, simple questions forces dishonesty to collapse under its own weight. Liars build their words like fragile towers. Tall, detailed, and sometimes impressive on the surface, but hollow and shaky underneath. When you introduce clear, direct questions into the conversation, you aren't just asking for information, you are applying pressure to the weak points of that tower. A liar often relies on confusion, on keeping the conversation vague enough that you don't pin them down. They move quickly, shifting from one detail to the next, hoping you won't notice the contradictions. But when you stop them with a straightforward question, you force them into a corner where they must give a specific answer. And the truth is, dishonesty does not like specifics. It struggles to survive when clarity is demanded. The beauty of a clear question is in its simplicity. You don't need to overthink it or create an elaborate trap. Something as simple as, when exactly did that happen? Or, who was with you? Can cause the liar to pause, hesitate, and scramble for words. That hesitation speaks louder than anything else, because honest people do not fear clarity. Honest people welcome it. But a liar sees clarity as exposure. They know every detail they invent creates another thread they must keep track of. And the more threads they spin, the more tangled they become. Asking questions also gives you control of the pace. Liars often want to dominate the flow of conversation, to speak faster than you can think, to throw so much at you that you stop questioning. But a simple, direct question interrupts that rhythm. It slows everything down. It makes them stop and answer on your terms. This is how you shift the balance of power. No longer are you chasing their story, you are leading them into the exact places they don't want to go. There's another important effect here. Questions create accountability. When a liar answers, they are committing to a detail. That detail now becomes something they must remember, something they must keep consistent in future conversations. And because lies are fragile, that consistency rarely holds up. Over time, the truth and the falsehood collide, and the liar exposes themselves without you having to do much. Every answer to a clear question is like another weight on their shoulders, and eventually, the weight is too much to carry. You don't need to ask aggressive questions. In fact, the calmer and simpler they are, the more effective. A liar expects resistance, but they don't expect quiet curiosity. They don't expect you to simply ask, "Can you explain that again?" They don't expect you to calmly return to the same point they're trying to avoid. That's where you gain the upper hand. It's not about interrogation, it's about persistence and clarity. The repetition of simple, clear questions makes the lie unravel piece by piece. Think about a thread on a sweater. You don't need to pull the whole sweater apart at once. You just need to tug on one thread, and slowly, the rest unravels. That's what a question does. It tugs. It looks small, but if you keep pulling, the entire lie falls apart. And the best part is the liar does most of the work themselves. Their attempt to answer, to cover, to explain, those are the very actions that expose them. This is why questioning is so powerful. It forces the liar to overexert themselves. Telling the truth requires no effort. But lying takes constant energy. Every detail is a risk. Every question is a chance for contradiction. By asking, you are not attacking them. You are letting them exhaust themselves. You are letting their dishonesty collapse under its own weight. And while this is happening, something else is working in your favor. Questions show that you are paying attention. They show that you are not blindly accepting their words. That awareness itself unsettles a liar. Because the more you question, the more they realize you are not an easy target. And liars, by nature, prefer easy targets. The more resistance they feel, the more nervous they become. And the more nervous they become, the faster they break down. Clear questions don't just expose dishonesty, they also build your own confidence. When you know you can handle a liar not by arguing, but by calmly asking, you don't feel powerless. You don't feel manipulated. Instead, you feel in control of the conversation. You feel strong, composed, and certain. That inner confidence radiates outward, and the liar feels it too. It changes the entire atmosphere of the interaction. Every question you ask is a light in the dark. Lies thrive in shadows, but questions turn on the lamp. They illuminate the gaps, the inconsistencies, the flaws. And once exposed, dishonesty cannot survive for long. This is why asking clear, simple questions is one of the most effective tools you will ever have. You don't need to outwit a liar with complicated strategies. You don't need to overwhelm them with arguments. You just need to shine a light on the truth and watch as the weight of their own lies pulls them down.